Oh,
Hello
now I have
everyone,
live.
we have Steve in the house with very beautiful hair, and I met Steve in 2013 when I was in Spain, so it's already like 7 years, and you look still very passionate, young, energetic, and
Yes.
that is why I believe it's so great to have the topic today. How can you keep that passion, that energy, that drive, no matter how you are? And the title today is quite like triggering, right? Having 17 years old mindset when you're 77 years old. And happy birthday anyway. Your birthday is just
Yes.
like 2 days ago,
Friday.
Friday, last week.
Friday.
Oh, okay. So last week. Yeah, you wanna say something to us?
Well, I'm lucky, aren't I? Because I have my fitness. Well, I have my health. Um, what else can I say? I don't look 77. I don't think I do anyway. Maybe I do today because it's so hot here in Spain. I'm in the northeast of Spain, Catalonia,
Mhm,
and it's very hot here.
mhm, mhm. And I think that is very nice introduction that has the signature of your humor. And
Mm.
I was always impressed with your humbleness and the great sense of humor. Very intelligently and cleverly put what you say. And the reason we bring Steve in the house today, there's a lot to do with how Steve inspired me and see that no matter where we are and how old we are, we always can go after our longing, our calling. And so Steve had a background as an engineer and then worked in television industry, BBC, right? So could you
Yes.
share a bit your very interesting journey of changing your careers? And I think it had a lot to do with you dare to follow your passion. And I wanted to really talk on that topic because you actually gave me a lot of advice on my book Unleash Your Passion, and we had a conversation today about this. Really about the matter of if we had the courage to follow what we want to do. And there's a lot of audience here today. I believe they probably come from different backgrounds, and they may ask themselves, what is my passion? Because so many people are talking about we need to find out what we love to do. Or maybe they will ask like, how can I actually turn the passion become a career? So Steve.
I I gave you a phrase a couple of days ago. I know I'm older than a lot of a lot of the people watching, but I said, wait a minute, make sure before you die you do something amazing. And then a friend of mine said, "Oh, well, you've already done something amazing, your work or whatever." And I said, "No, this is my target. So I'm aiming forward all the time. The only problem is, Jen, that I don't know what it is." I, I, okay, so my career after sound, I worked in sound and TV, as you know. Then I worked in electronics. I designed building controls, very boring, but made good money. And then I came here, retired 15 years ago. But I couldn't carry on the electronics because of course, it was my job. There were lots of equipment and bits and pieces. That finished. So I had to change, yes? So I became an artist. So now I'm an artist, yes? But the interesting thing is that art and technology come together. I mean, Leonardo da Vinci is one example where science, well, not science so much, technology, web design, graphic design, it all comes in together, doesn't it? So what I do, a lot of my art is what I would call commercial art. It's not the sort of art you stick on the wall. It's the sort of art you paint for greetings cards, things like that, or art for websites. So that's what I do now. But obviously I had to change because I couldn't carry, well, I didn't want to carry on my electronics work. That was it, finish.
Okay.
I can't hear anything. When I'm talking, because of Zoom, I can't hear anything. It's like I'm talking into a... So Jennifer, you have to go sort of thumbs up or something, because it's like you're talking, it's like you're listening in total silence. And I'm thinking...
Okay, I literally unmuted myself because I sometimes could not like calm my kind of excitement. So the part when you mentioned that everything comes together, and I think that holistic approach is beautiful. And I remember you also helped me to design my business card, my first time ever.
Oh, yes.
And yeah, and it was a combination of your painting and also your like engineering thing, designing, engineering technically. And you said about your painting, the one behind you that you painted.
Yes.
The
one
paintings. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I have, well, there's only one painting behind me now. That one there was painted by a friend of mine, English guy, Anthony Pilley. And he sold that as a poster in the Rambla in Barcelona. Do you remember? Maybe I showed it to you.
Yeah, you
so
did.
It's not mine, it's his, yeah. It's looking all rather blue and faded now, because it's, it's about, it's about 17 years old. 17 years it's been on my wall with the sun blasting into the windows. Okay. So the colors are all a little bit faded now. And then the other picture there, that's one of mine, but I've got lots of pictures.
Yeah,
I'm sure you don't want to show. Well, I mean, I have a Instagram page and a website.
Oh, lovely. You can share with us later on. And I really like to bring on people to the podcast, that's what we call, and it actually comes to different platforms, Facebook and YouTube and Instagram also. And we love to actually have your like social account, so people probably can check out. But the idea how and why I always bring the people that I met before, because I think that is the time where I actually can know and see how is the person going after a period of time. So it's very interesting after 7 years, and your energy is still there. Even you said that you didn't really define what is the most amazing thing that you leave behind when you go to the heaven. But I believe that there's a lot of little things, and the combination of that, as what you did to me, like you went to Penang and then you encouraged me that you didn't know like how amazing it is to the person, even you think it's not a big deal. So I believe that amazingness or greatness actually is an accumulation over time, and the idea is that you don't stop. And that is something that I really like to really emphasize today over and over again as our audience here, that don't let any kind of edges or background or anything say to you that, oh, I'm too old, or I'm a girl, I'm a boy, or I'm from a countryside. No, the idea is that do you really want to do it? So thank you, Steve. And I like to dig a bit deeper because I know that you are experienced. So maybe going back to that kind of looking back the journey and understanding the thought process, it's a bit like, you know, not a great interesting, but for the audience point of view, think knowing your thought process is amazing. So you said you was an engineer, but you also went to work for BBC a period of time, right? And actually I saw your email, movie star. I don't know, it was because you wanted to be a movie star, you learned that?
Oh, no. That's just a telephone company.
Okay, all right, so tell us about how did you change your career and found your passion in television industry?
Well, okay, my career was in two halves, really. When I was at school, now this is interesting because most of my friends were going to university. So when I was 18, I'd passed my exams and all my friends were going to Oxford, Cambridge, university. Well, those days there weren't quite so many in the UK. Now there are dozens of universities. I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to work in TV. So that's what I did. I applied to the BBC. They have a training school. Jennifer, do this when you want me to stop because I can't hear you when I'm talking.
If I didn't say anything, you're good to go.
I'm okay. So the BBC has a training school in the west of England, in Evesham. And I did a 3-year course, so just 3 years in the same way as a university degree is 3 years. But it was a mixture of work in the studios and then theoretical work in the training school. So I got a full education. And I also learned about electronics because I was going to work in sound in television, okay? So you have two groups of people. You have the people who operate the cameras. Now they're sort of arty people, okay? They point cameras and get beautiful shots. And, they're not really technical because they have technical people behind the scenes to keep the cameras going. But sound guys have to be technical. They have to know how to send a sound or a signal from one end of the cable to another a long way away, you know? So I learned about electronics. But after about 7 years, I got bored and started designing electronic bits and pieces, which were totally impractical. And then I worked freelance for a while. I had some real disasters. And then I met a guy who'd come back from South Africa, and he and I just sort of complemented each other. He designed huge control panels for buildings, shopping centers, you know, big switches like clunk. And I designed small modules, which you can control the panels from a central point in the building, okay? And this was in 1978, it's a long time ago. And I was a pioneer in designing networks around large buildings to control and monitor fire alarms, air conditioning, all that sort of thing. So that's what I did until I retired, basically.
Wow, beautiful. So you had a transition in your career, and
Yes.
you mentioned that you earn a lot of money, and you was the pioneer in setting
Yes.
up that system at the beginning. It was amazing
Yes.
and impressive, right? So, okay, you wanted to say something?
Yes, because, well, I did make reasonably good money. I wasn't very wealthy and I didn't have a Ferrari, but I could have done.
Oh, so that is the idea, right? That is the idea where I wanted to emphasize. You could have done if you wanted to, but then can you share why did you actually get to the job? Was it because you wanted to have that income, or what was the reason? Yeah, you mentioned a bit on that, but I try to kind of like dig deeper into the deeper reason, because later on you could have done like continuing and having a very great life with the finance where or what I believe a lot of people long for. But what made you decide to actually choose the other path?
Well, yes, I forgot really that. So I had the point when I left TV, and the reason for leaving TV was very simple. I was bored. Because with television, there's a lot of waiting around. Seems very romantic, very, very wonderful to meet all these famous people. But I got bored, okay? Then I started working with this guy and designing this equipment. And because we were pioneers, we could have made well, he went on to make a lot of money. He was very wealthy, but I could have been in with his company, and I'd now be a retired company director with pots and pots of money. We would have made lots of money. But after probably about the same length of time, about 7 years, no, maybe even less, I wanted to go back to sound, and I started designing control units for recording studios, for controlling tape machines. In those days, we're talking about 1980s, 1990s, tape machine recordings in studios were made on 2-inch tape, 24 tracks. Yes. And I made a machine which controlled those tape recorders. But I didn't really make any money. So all the money I made with this guy making the building controls, a lot of it went on my passion. Okay, I'll use my word passion. Okay, I went back into sound, making this equipment, but unfortunately it didn't make any money. Passion doesn't equal making pots of money necessarily, does it? Well, I don't know about you, but I mean, with me, it didn't. So finally, I recovered by going back again to the building controls because I had various maintenance contracts. So there was a lot of my equipment out there, some of it in the Middle East. So I had contracts with these companies to maintain my equipment. So that kept me off the breadline. And then I retired in 2003, 2004, something like that.
Okay.
And I came here.
Okay. So here, more specifically, it is Spain, beautiful Girona,
Yes.
next to Barcelona.
Yes.
So you mentioned that to make passion become a career is another story. And you finished a career that I believe a lot of people probably want to do is on television, and BBC is a great brand. But you said that you got bored. So that is also a taking point, right? You valued another thing rather than the fame or the being cool on television. So how can you define your core values, the things that you based on to make a decision?
Oh, I haven't had some sort of overpowering desire through my life. I've just staggered from one thing to another, really. But I followed, most certainly not following money. I was following what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And that's really the secret.
Wow. Lovely. So that's what we call passion. Okay. All right. So I believe that everyone probably will define or articulate different ways of describing it. And can you like describe it in 1 or 2 sentences about passion or something like in that concept for the young people here, if they have the question in themselves or if they are actually longing for that, and because of that they're feeling lost sometimes?
Well, I feel it's very difficult for me to talk because young people have a very tough life now, much tougher than when I was younger, because the world has changed. I'm not talking about the coronavirus. I'm talking about up to last year, you know, the financial crisis. When I lived in the UK, house prices went up and up, and the stock market went up and up. It was a golden period, and my pension now reflects that. So I can talk from a very fortunate position where I have the time, because of course I'm retired and I have enough money to live comfortably. But a lot of young people don't really have the choice, do they? They have to work, and their work may not be what they like doing. I have a friend in Girona she works so many hours, she doesn't have time for much of her life outside her work. She's mid-40s. I really feel sorry for her because she can't do what you're saying. She can't follow her passion. It's
or
just
she didn't have the, like, let's say, the moment of making a decision that changed her life, because you actually did that even it was hard. Or maybe she happy with what she's doing now, so I cannot tell when I don't meet her yet. But I believe that as you did, it was difficult, but you still did it. So
no,
what about
it wasn't difficult.
wasn't it? Yeah. So you're really humble. You try to make people feel like they are facing a lot of difficult times, and it's okay to not
Yeah.
following what they truly like. Or
Yes.
I actually like to challenge that aspect. I believe that if they want to do something great, they gotta like what they already decide to do. Maybe
Yes.
the thing that they decide to do now is not their true passion yet, but I would challenge that if they already decide to do something, if they decide to play guitar as a career,
Yes.
then make the best out of it as you have no tomorrow, let's say. Or if you already
Mm-hmm.
decide to become an engineer, do 100% of it, or maybe 110%. And then maybe you'll find, oh, actually, I truly passionate on something. But I believe the concept here is, as you actually told us, when you decide to do something, we will do 110% of it. So
Yes.
oh yeah. Okay, so I
Good.
try to get to the message again about never stop longing for what matters, and you
Oh, I
are a
agree.
great
I agree.
mm,
Mm.
you are a great example on that. So tell us about what are you going to say to yourself at 20 years old. So the Steve of now 77 years old, look back at the Steve of 20 years old and 13 years old and 14 years old. What are you going to say to him?
Well, that was interesting because I was not happy at school because I was very pathetic. I was, the English word drip. I was very pathetic. All my
Uh-huh.
school friends, well, this was a boys only school, it was public school. They were all very grown up and I was very pathetic, really.
Mm,
Yes. Now that's an interesting point, Jen. That when I was younger, in fact, after I left school, I had no confidence. I didn't feel that I had anything to give. So I was. I mean, now things are totally different. They're reversed. But I remember feeling very insignificant, very inferior, which
okay,
is a
that's
shame,
very
really.
interesting point. A lot of
Mm,
young people, 80% of them that I talked to over the last 2 years in my training, and one of
mm,
the things that they mentioned is that they don't have enough confidence. So could
mm.
you share the process that you actually later on gain or develop your confidence?
Well, I gained confidence firstly through my work. So, well, not in TV because I didn't really feel I fitted in the BBC because it's a very big corporation.
Mm-hmm.
I worked and it was very interesting, very technical, but I felt there was something else for me. So, but when I was doing the electronics, the building controls, then I gained enormous confidence because I could see that I was doing something in advance of a lot of people. It's an interesting time because between 1978 and 1982, the Apple computer and the IBM PC entered the world, as it were. And that was the time when I was designing electronics. It was just a
Mm.
very exciting time.
So you
But
said,
gradually,
mhm.
but personally, on a personal level, I never had confidence. In my job, in my work, I had confidence. In my personal life, no. And it was only when I came here, really, that I've just discovered myself. I could go on about that a lot, but my personal life before I came to Spain was almost zero. I was working
Interesting
most of the
point.
time.
So I would like to dig a bit deeper on that, but I would pick up the point you said. You became more confident at work because you gained competence. So
Yes,
we're also talking about the competence and confidence loop. When you're more competent at something, you tend to be more confident. But you also mentioned
yes,
the point that confidence does not only come from that competence, but uh, it's like a tree that's not only look very nice outside, but it has to be very strong from the root. So you set yourself as personal level. You didn't have that confidence only when you went to Spain. So what changed?
I don't know. I think I learned to communicate. Well, not learned. I find the Spanish people. I find the Spanish people much more easy to communicate with. I look back at the UK now, and I see. I mean, I'm British, okay, but I see characteristics which I dislike, and I see characteristics here which I like. The openness here, and it's made me more open. I can't think of other words to put it to use, but I feel more open. I feel I can talk freely, but I'm not talking about my friends here. I just mean generally on my friends online, for example.
Okay.
I just feel much freer now. It's difficult to explain why.
Lovely. So you said about competence and then
Yes.
more confidence. And now it's about being open to communicate with others. So we also often talking about when you can work with other people, you collaborate with somebody, you're more confidence,
Yes.
and you have something to show us, right?
Yes. Well, only just to say that I'm now painting. Oh, I've got lots of pictures here. These are cards.
Oh, that's the one that you gave me.
No, these are all new, Jen. That's Girona. That's the
so the other
Arab.
one's similar.
Oh yeah, well, but you haven't seen that before.
Yeah, similar one. So does it help you with your confidence?
Oh yes, because people are really nice to me about my art. They sound.
And you get.
I mean, I started when I started watercolor painting about 20 years ago.
Wow.
Well, it was okay. I was just drawing, but suddenly, instead of saying, "Well, I just paint or I do this or that," I said,
"People pay."
Well, people buy my pictures, sure, but I can now say, "I am an artist." All right.
Oh yeah, I saw your paintings in different shops in Girona.
Yes.
Wow, congratulations.
Yes, thank you. But so this has given me confidence because people genuinely say that they love my paintings.
Wow.
So this is a great time.
So you mentioned about the competence and about the ability to express your creativity and the connection with others. So it is also in our program we mentioned about confidence, competence, creativity, connection, and compassion. They all can build up that confidence, and not only from outside but from the deep inside. Interesting. So if you need to talk with your 13 years old self, what do you want to say?
Oh, 13 years old, gosh.
30.
I would 13 or 3. How old
13.
am I? No, I'm 13. Yes. Well, at 13. 30, 30.
Yeah.
30. I was just divorced.
Oh, okay. So what do you want to say? That is, I don't want to say interesting, but I just wanted to say that is a very difficult time, and there's a lot of people in life may meet that difficult time, divorce or maybe broken heart, or maybe lost job. So how can people deal with that to gain back the confidence and the joy?
Well, I still don't have confidence with relationships with the opposite sex. I always say to my friends, my last girlfriend was 20. Well, it's more than 25 years ago. But then there's a two-way of reading. There's two ways of looking at that. Is it my last girlfriend or my last girlfriend? In other words, there won't be another one. How do I find a girlfriend at 77? So I've been single for 25 years, probably more.
But I wanted you to say to the self that when you divorced, like at 13 years old, for any audience 30. That experienced the
we're talking about 30, time. Aren't we? 30.
30, yeah. what about the people if they have that kind of difficult time? What do you want to say to them if you want them to gain back the confidence?
Well, I'm not sure I'm the right person to ask about that.
Okay. Okay, so what do you want to say to yourself to be like you know, to get out of that?
Well, let me think. Yes, okay, Jen. When I was younger, before I got married, or when I was dating my wife, I used to think this was it. This was what one does. One gets a job, one gets married, one has kids. And I actually went ahead and did that. Well, I didn't have kids, but I got married, but I did it because I felt I ought to, more than more than I wanted to. I wasn't sure. Well, I wasn't sure. Yeah, that's all I can really say. And as I've become older, I've realized that maybe it wasn't for me. Well, obviously it's not for me because I never remarried. So there are various parts of my life. That part of my life is to one side because my relations with women are not a great success.
Okay.
My relationship with my work is great. So that's a success story.
Okay, so I think we still learn from both sides, right? What worked for you and what have not worked for you. But you mentioned on something I think is important to emphasize here is you had the courage to get out of the marriage. Not everyone does, and even though you said it was not a great ending, but having that courage to get out from the marriage, it's been like together for how many years?
Well, we were married for not long time, no.
Okay, so it was not an easy thing, and you did that. So I believe that what we can learn from that, we had to listen to our whisper, or some people call whisper, some people call inner voice. Do we really happy? Do you really want it, or is because we do it as society tell us to do? So I think having a courage to listen to that voice and make a decision that you did was amazing. So that is absolutely something that I think everyone who listen to it can take away. Yeah, to have a courage.
Well, what I've learned is what is love.
What is that?
When I was younger, I used to imagine you either love somebody or you are in love with somebody. And now I've found it's much simpler.
What is that?
Well, because I'm not in love with anybody, but I have far greater freedom. How can I put this? My heart is much more open to love people.
Okay.
Yeah? I can say to somebody, I love you. It doesn't mean I'm in love, but it's a really genuine emotion. And when I was younger, when I was 20, I never really felt that. I felt either I was in love, because I was in love with the girl I married, but I hadn't learned what love was. And I didn't really learn until much later in my life.
How did you learn that?
Well, again, that's happened since I came to Spain. I think really simply because not working, having more time, I could assess my life. And when I was working, it was very, very intense. It was very, very hard work, sort of mentally working. Okay. I was writing software, things like that.
Yeah, so and didn't notice the surroundings.
No. Now, I don't want to introduce a new subject, but the things you do are very interesting to me because I'm very interested in, well, not serious, the way our minds work, the way we connect with each other. As I mentioned, a couple of books which discuss the mind isn't really limited to the skull. You know, the mind is as big as you want to make it.
Yep.
And we're
Absolutely.
all part of, in a way, we're all part of the same thing. We're all connected.
Yeah.
And the other, may I just say one thing, which I know we have lots and lots of, I've forgotten the word now, but the brain is an amazing thing. But I still cannot believe that we can store all our experiences inside the head. So I have this theory that when we die, our bodies die, but our memories still continue because our memories are not in there. They're here.
Or
Wait a minute.
yeah.
Wait a minute. Let me get far enough away from the camera.
Or we call like our mind, our soul.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
And I said, I love you, Steve, I love you. And I say that to people. And I mean that I love them, but doesn't mean I'm in love. And I believe that this one is very, very beautiful feeling. And it comes where we connect with people and we don't see the barriers because of where we come from, what we think, what we believe, but we see each other as a human being. And I so like, I'm feel thankful because my siblings, they have taught me by loving me unconditionally. And I think it has a lot to do with, I feel the human love so strong. And there's sometimes people think that I love them a lot because I love them really. Yeah, but love is like love. So I really, really like what you say from symbolizing your understanding about love. And that is beautiful. And you said it's because you went to Spain and you could express yourself, connect to people where you can feel that authentic human being love. So you had a conversation with your 20 years old self, the self where you was not that confident. And then you had a conversation with yourself 13 years old when you divorced, but you learned a big lesson of following what you really wanted. If it was not happy, then stop. And then also love is everywhere. And then now it's about 14 years old you. What are you gonna say to him?
Wait a minute, 40. No, which age
40.
now?
40. Yeah.
4.
Yeah. 40. Yeah.
What?
40.
40.
Yeah. 40.
40. Yes, 40.
40.
I can't remember what I was doing when I was 40.
40. 40.
Yeah, 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was just sort of, no, that was a sort of dead period in my life. I was just working, Jen.
So do you think that if somebody now they keep working all the days, myself, I do exercise and I work, and I don't call it work. I call it what I love to do. But I symbolize two things, right? Exercise and I do what I do. So what are you gonna say to the people like you did at 40? Keep it going or?
I know I said this before. I don't feel qualified to do that. You are. You're that age.
What did you learn?
Well,
what did you learn? What did you learn from that?
But Jen, it was a different era. See, when I was 40, it was 1980 something. Yeah, 1983. So, that's interesting because that was the year. Well, that was the year after the IBM PC came out. Okay, that was that sort of sets it in time. So I was embarking on my work in controls, building controls. Yes, but my social life was zero, absolutely zero, and I didn't like people talking to me. I used to. Oh, I don't want to get too near the mic. I used to, after when I finished work, I went to my local pub and had a beer, a pint of bitter. And I didn't want anybody to talk to me. I mean, I was a total recluse. Because my nerves were so shattered through working all day on software and designs and stuff. So that's what I was doing at 40. So I was in no state to offer any help to other people passing that age.
So you say, keep working.
No, no. Well, it's probably a necessity, isn't it?
Or having a little bit socialized, watching Joy with Jen podcast every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. This one is also the place where I like to welcome every human being, anyone that I
Yeah.
think has something to share, and I believe that by talking together, we get to understand ourselves a little bit more, and other people also can reflect upon it. So we move a bit further. You talk to yourself 20, 30, 40, and now 50 and 60. What do you say?
I'm at those ages, I can't see any difference. I mean, I was, my whole life was dictated to by my work. Are you falling over laughing? You're on the floor, Jen.
Yeah, no, no. Keep going. I just like getting a bit water
I'll
for
just
myself.
carry on talking to people on Facebook.
Yeah, I getting some water for myself.
When I was 50, when I was 60, well, no, 60, I retired, yes, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
Between 60 and 65, I retired. So, but when I was 50, I had no social life at all. I played squash. So you play badminton now, don't you? So squash was my game. So I was very keen on that.
Okay. So you say you should do some exercise, right? Keep fit.
Oh yes, yeah, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
That's definitely a good advice.
Yeah, that is what I think you always keep reminding me that. Okay, I said, how are you doing? You said, I'm still fit, and yeah, so that's very nice. All right, so I think maybe now is the time to get some question, but I like to just kind of wrap up what we had talked about. Very short conversation, but the main topic is that how can you keep that hunger, keep developing yourself, and never stop longing for what you like to do. And you had a very interesting journey of changing from BBC staff, then an engineer, one of the pioneers in building the system, and then you become an artist now, and then your paintings now in different shop in Girona, Spain.
Yes.
And one of the business card that you made for me also have your painting on it, so thank you. So yes, Steve, if you say 3 habits good make people never stop that hunger on their journey, no matter where they are, what they do, what would be that? And I call it like a 5-second rule game. I will ask you, and you only have 5 seconds to answer. And 3 habits to make one person stay passionate and creative.
Minimize the time on screen, on mobiles.
We are doing it right now.
Yeah. Oh well, this is allowed.
Good one.
No, that's negative. That's a negative thing. I mean, really, from somebody of my age, to see the hours that people spend on their mobile phones.
I mean, like the good thing of watching the show. Okay,
Yeah.
so
maybe if they're watching your blog, that's allowed. Yes.
Okay, so I get the idea. So minimize the time on screen. What else?
Oh, no, am I talking to people about 30, 40, something like that? Young people, young. No, I can't. I'm too distant to what they do now.
Okay, but that is a good one. Like minimize the time. So another question.
Well, sport, keep fit. I mean, that's the other thing is sport, because it's a great, because it has a mental effect as well, doesn't it? To be fit.
Okay. Okay.
If you go running, I mean, I'm very keen on cycling, as you know.
So do you still cycle around Girona? Very beautiful place.
Oh yes. Well, now it's very, very hot, so I don't. So
okay. Cool.
but
All right,
in the spring and the autumn.
3 books that you recommend us to do to stay hungry, stay creative, never stop learning.
Well, I recommend an author, Rupert Sheldrake, who is the person I was quoting about the mind and the how we're all connected. He has lots of wonderful spiritual ideas. So, one thing I haven't mentioned is the church, the Christian church. So I came up through my family, through traditional Christianity, but now I find I'm very, very interested in spirituality and how we all connect together. So that's one writer I like reading. The other thing you mentioned, I've got a couple of friends who they still suffer pain from events in the past, as do many people. And one of my favorite subjects is forgiveness. I know I don't want to start a new subject, but often, well, as you know, if you don't forgive somebody, it hurts you more than it hurts the other person. Yes, true. And the other pet subject of mine, because it's all linked to with the church, is prayer and healing and the healing touch. And I actually mean physically touching somebody. These things work and these things fascinate me now. So any books on those sort of subjects fascinate me.
Lovely. All right.
Archbishop, well, okay, no, you carry on.
Oh, keep going. The last one.
Well, I was just going to mention another book by Archbishop Desmond Tutu about the Book of Forgiving, it's called, or the Book of Forgiveness. I always forget which. But he was chairman of the Truth and Reconciliation Committee. Do you remember at the end of apartheid in South Africa, where terrible deeds had occurred in years previously, and there was basically I've forgotten the word, but it was necessary to forgive even terrible things which had happened in the past for the country to continue on. I mean, I'm not sure about the state of the country now, but that was what happened. So that to me is a very important thing. Okay. And that's Christian teaching as well as secular teaching.
Yeah, 5 seconds became like almost 5 minutes with the 3 kind of books. Yeah, but
we have that in common then, Jenna.
Okay, I love that. So you mentioned books in 3 different fields, interesting. And you talk about the topic of forgiveness and healing. So I believe that every one of us will always know we can do better, and sometimes we be so harsh on ourselves, and also that reflect on other people. Like I used to feel, let's say, a person who almost became the partner in my relationship. I always felt that he was, no matter what he did, it was not enough. I didn't say that out loud, but my energy was there, and I found it was because I never felt enough about myself. I had to get another degree. I had to get another book done. I had to get another speakers coming in. So then when I realized, I mean, constantly we know, but subconsciously I knew we are great now and we always can be better, but we need to appreciate now, and then when we get more, we can appreciate what we can get more. Otherwise it's always like a hole and it get bigger when we get bigger. That subconscious level, it has been very amazing in how I could feel more content. So thank you for telling us that very specific aspect. So the last question would be, what do you challenge us to do tomorrow morning as Vietnam time to be more passionate and have that young mind, no matter how old we are?
Don't drink alcohol.
Okay, another one. Yeah, that one probably some people don't. So.
Well, are we talking? Oh no, I'm silence. I can't think of what to say there. Advice. You're asking you're asking me advice, and I really don't feel I'm very good at giving advice, only to myself. um, you're waiting still for an
Yep.
answer. The
Still
clock is
waiting.
ticking. I forgot what the question was, Jen.
The question is, what are you going to challenge us to do
Oh, the
tomorrow
challenge, yes.
to be more passionate and joyful and stay hungry, yeah, for being better, for loving life more, for doing what we want to do. Yeah.
Well, my challenge is to stay fit and healthy, really.
Challenge for
No,
us.
that's not really. Well, when you say us, do you mean you?
Yeah, the audience,
The audience, yes. I've
including
no
myself.
idea. I've no idea how many people are watching us anyway, but presumably all ages, but mainly younger people.
Okay.
So I'm not qualified to give advice to people who are living in a completely different generation to mine, a completely different time to mine. But the passion, I know you talk about passion. You're right. It's there, and it should be there with all of us, whatever our age. But I don't know how to advise people or how to challenge people of a much younger age how to do it, because I have all the time in the world. I have money, not a huge amount, but I have enough money to live. And
Okay, so we wake up is like to be fit, all right? Okay.
Well, that's a good start, but not everybody has that luxury, do they?
Okay. So that is the thing that is why we will create. I believe that we can create by like the books just fall down that to make up the time for what important to do exercise, no matter where we are and what situation we are in. I believe we can make a decision. Even a lot of people cannot go out, they do exercise at home. So I think there's no excuse. If the health is important, then they will make the time for that. So
Yeah.
I like to end it that strong. And thank you so much for joining in. I think I took more time that as we planned. So I will see you in the next time. And thank you for being a great example of being very passionate, no matter where you are or what you do or what age you are in. So if we look at Steve, we look at our future and say, hey, you still can be that young, energetic, and passionate as long as you decide to keep fit, keep doing what you like, and challenging yourself every day. Yep.
Okay.
Have a wonderful time in Girona. See you soon in Vietnam when the situation is convenient.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Have a lovely day ahead, right?
Yes. Yes.
For us, a great night.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.